Jolene Stavrakis, and welcome to Positive Living. I've created this show as an expression of everything that I've learned about how to live a positive life. And if you ask me, I think you need to concentrate on three things: your mind, your body, and your spirit. I used to only worry about my mind and body. I worked out, I ate right, I educated myself. I thought I had it all together. But one day I realized that there was something missing from my life. And now I'm happier than I've ever been, and I can't believe the great people that are coming into my life and all the wonderful opportunities. And so I want to share with you everything that I've learned and also introduce you to some really interesting people that just might change your life and make it more positive. The first lady that I want to introduce to you is a lady who's celebrated 4 years since having her heart transplant done at the University of Minnesota. She brought her dog Megan, and she came and met me at the Sculpture Gardens in front of the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis. And this is a little bit of positive living, Linda Zurflieh style. Hi, we're at the Minneapolis Sculpture Gardens here at the Walker Art Center, and behind me is the Spoon Bridge with the cherry. It's a very famous sculpture, and with me is Linda Zurflieh, who's an expert on the Spoon Bridge because she photographed it and has used it as part of a series of note cards that she calls Minnesota Moods.
The Minnesota Moods collection of note cards I've been doing for about 5 years, Jolene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, actually longer than that. But 5 years ago is when I integrated the Spoon Bridge and Cherry into the collection, and it's really become a highlight of the collection, simply because it is such a landmark. I mean, people know that the Spoon Bridge and Cherry is Minneapolis, so it's a very indigenous identifying mark with our cities. But the other cards that I have are, I've got about 30 different images, and they're all very known images.
From all over the state.
From all, well, mostly the cities, but highlighting the city mostly, the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul. But they're from different angles. You know, you can find me hanging from trees as well as being on my belly looking up at the ideas.
Oh boy.
So I have a lot of fun with my photography, and I like to capture what I think the essence of Minnesota is.
Well, I love the card that I have here.
Thank you.
If
Thanks.
you can see it, it's beautiful, and it is a different angle. I think everybody sees the spoon as a long, seeing the whole spoon, and this way you get to see a little bit of the city and just the beauty of the area. It's gorgeous here. So if people are interested, where can they find your cards? Where can they take a look at your cards?
The cards are, I've mostly been doing them through mail order and word of mouth. Some conventions have been able to capture into them as well for their people that come in to the cities. There's a few gift shops that do carry them, but mostly it's mail order and it's just kind of word of mouth, and I've been pretty successful that way with them.
Anybody that wants to know about the cards or get a hold of them, you can call us and we'll direct you to Linda.
Great.
But besides being a wonderful photographer, you did a lot of other things before, and you were very busy, and you didn't have the time to be so creative, but something changed all that.
Yeah, I was in the travel business before that, and I was traveling virtually all over the world as a meeting planner and on the fast track, so to speak. It was 4 years ago in May, I was diagnosed with having end-stage cardiomyopathy, which resulted in me having to have a heart transplant here at the University of Minnesota.
Wow, and you got that within 5 weeks?
Yeah, I did. I was very lucky. The donor became available for me 5 weeks after I was put on the list. 5 weeks after I got the beeper.
Yeah.
I got my phone call, and they said, "Linda, I have a heart for you." So.
And you said, "Thank God."
There I was.
Well, through all this, I mean, a lot of people would say, "God, that's traumatic, devastating," but I really admire what you've done. You've created a lot of opportunities out of that, and taken that challenge and turned it into some positive things. And maybe you could tell us about that.
Well, you're right. I have not gone back to work full time. I've decided that I wanted to really, do things that I've really never had time to do before. One of which is I do a lot of public speaking in the community, mostly on donor awareness, but I do talk from little kids all the way up on staying healthy, keeping a good attitude, and being in control of your own life. I also do more of my photography, and I've also, I've met a new person in my life who's also enabled me to slow down a little bit.
And that's Kurt.
That's Kurt.
And you met him, he also had a heart transplant.
Yeah, he did. I met Kurt at the university, at the university support group, heart support group. He was transplanted 8 months before I was, and also was single at the same time.
And that way he could sort of be your guide through all of that and help you with
Very
that.
much so. He was not only a guide in letting me know or to follow into the physical things that one goes through post-transplant, but also a lot of the emotional things as well. And, you know, and Kurt was there for me, so I was very lucky.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
God works in mysterious ways. And not only did you get Kurt, but you got Megan as well.
Yeah, we got Megan.
Out of the deal. And Megan
she's
is being wonderful here for us today. She's kind of our companion, and she's enjoying the park herself. So, besides all of that came out of it, you also got involved in the Second Chance for Life Foundation.
The Second Chance, yeah, I did, Jolene. Second Chance for Life Foundation is a support group that is a dotted line affiliation to the University of Minnesota. And it's a support group run by patients, for patients, and it's for those individuals that are part of the heart and the heart-lung team or transplant team at the University of Minnesota. And,
you've done a lot of speaking for the foundation.
Done a lot of speaking for the foundation, and as a matter of fact, this past weekend we just had our annual banquet and workshop, which was highly successful. We had 300 people at the banquet.
Wow.
We had 400 at our picnic, and the highlight of it was the transplant patients playing softball against the doctors and the surgeons and all the nurses.
All right.
It was great.
I
It was
hope
wonderful.
the patients kicked some
You
butt.
bet we did.
Show those doctors who's really living now.
Yeah, but it was really a highlight. I think this is the 7th annual workshop that we've done now.
That's great.
It's a successful program.
I'm so glad that you could be with me today, and I just
I'm
want
glad to
you
be
to
here.
know how much I admire what you're doing,
Thank
what
you.
you've done.
Thanks.
And
It was nice to be here. You bet. Thanks
Linda
for having me.
Zurflieh. And we'll be right back with some more positive living. So stay with us.
You know, the discipline of science has unquestionably helped our lives. There have been many insights, discoveries that have helped humanity a lot. But as amazing and as helpful as science is, it has inadvertently dehumanized human beings. And I should know, I was originally trained as a scientist. I obtained a degree in chemistry. And through my scientific background and my inquiry, I really wanted to investigate everything and find out what were fundamentally made up everything and figure everything out. After a while, human beings became nothing more to me than a collection of molecules, circulating blood, tissue, bones, neurons firing, and other chemical processes. But is that all that we are? I mean, if you take H2O or water out of our bodies, we're nothing more than just dust on the floor. Is that all we are, just simply materialistic? Is that all that we are? Is there nothing different than me, than the squirrels that play in my yard, other than our molecules arranged differently? You know, there's a principle in life that says this: we become what we think. And if we think that we're animals, don't you think that we'll end up acting like animals? I mean, isn't that partially the explanation, maybe, on why there is such a rising crime and violence and immorality in this country? And if we think we're nothing more than just a collection of molecules, don't you think we'll feel like we're nothing more than a collection of molecules? Do you think that's partially why, perhaps, that there's such a feeling of hopelessness, purposelessness in this country? You know, the good news is that we're more than just firing neurons, and we're more than just animals. We're spiritual beings. That's what really distinguishes us between animals. People everywhere in this world worship. Animals don't worship. Even in the most primitive cultures, people worship. Animals don't worship. You may think that your dog worships you, but he doesn't. You just feed him. The good news is that we're spiritual beings. And for us to become healthy, well-balanced people, we need to develop the spiritual part of our lives. Seek God. Seek God through His Son, Jesus Christ. You know, we were created to have a relationship with God. We weren't created just simply to eat and drink and get up and go to work and pay the bills and then die. We were created to have a living relationship, a fellowship with God through His Son, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ said this after He rose from the dead. He said, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I'll come into him and he with me." Seek God. Ask Christ to come into your life and begin a relationship with Him today.
Great. Thank you, Brent Knox from Evergreen Community Church, for that inspirational thought for the day, and that really hits home to me. And but now on to my next guest. I'm really excited to have Dr. Helen Healy here with me today, and she's an ND rather than an MD. And maybe, Helen, you can explain for a lot of viewers, like myself maybe a year ago, that had no idea what a naturopathic doctor was and how that differs from an MD.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thanks for being here, by the way.
Sure, thank you for inviting me. Well, a naturopathic physician is trained for 4 years in a medical school. The similarities are that we learn the basic sciences, so we learn about molecules and things that we just...
like Brent?
Yes, like Brent was talking about.
You're very scientific.
Yes, and then the focus changes, though, in the second 2 years to learn more about holistic or natural treatments and ways actually to help people help themselves and help stimulate the body's own natural mechanisms to heal.
Yeah, I'm really getting more involved in that, learning about that, and I find it very interesting. And so how did you get started? I mean, what encouraged you or interested you?
Yes, well, I was doing research at the National Institutes of Health. I was actually doing brain research on monkeys. And at the time I also was seeing some of the work that they were doing on, if you will, the human guinea pigs, where the people were being volunteers for drug experiments. And it actually became very depressing to me to see what was going on.
With the drugs that they were giving.
Yes, and I was actually seeing people deteriorate, and something happened inside of me, which again I would say probably was a spiritual thing. The voice inside said, this is not right. There must be a better type of medicine. And so I guess I'd say I sort of went on a search, and I thought I was going to end up in France to learn it, but actually someone told me there was a school in the United States, and that it was
in Seattle?
It was in Portland, Oregon, at the time,
okay.
and that the medicine was called naturopathy.
Naturopathy back then.
Yeah, and so I knew that when I heard the word, I said, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, something more natural. And I feel like a lot of times people just take medications and drugs as a Band-Aid. I mean, they're prescribing drugs all the time to people rather than looking at the cause and really getting to the bottom of it. And so it doesn't help. It probably hurts a lot of times. It makes things worse. So that's great that you studied that. I'd like to maybe do that myself. So it's good to hear about different ways, different alternatives that are out there. And so one thing that my roommate and I were talking about was children who have, hyperactive disorders, or what is the attention deficit disorders that they're talking about these days. Do you treat any children with those types of disorders?
Yes, I'd say, easily for 10 years. And even before I got out of school, I treated someone with schizophrenia, which can almost be sort of in the continuum of things that can go to that. But certainly we treat that with investigating the diet of the child, the environment of the child, and also what we call the mineral picture, seeing what is the child deficient in, or
so
maybe excessive.
You do a lot of testing then to find out.
Yeah, doing the testing and changing that, and there's also other remedies that we might use that are called homeopathic remedies.
Rather than the drugs like Ritalin that are out there.
Exactly, right. Finding other ways to help the child, and actually, again, get into the biochemistry.
And so have you been able to help kids, a lot of kids, get through that time? And
yes, I'd say that, and even, let's say, children that are on seizure medication. I mean, there's many things that sometimes people, in asthma, I mean, there's many childhood things that, because children tend to be pretty strong people, really. They haven't had lots of years to pollute themselves. So they respond very well to natural remedies.
Well, that's good. Well, I'll have to send my roommates, all our students from Nicollet Junior High over to you and get them off that Ritalin. Well, I feel like nutrition is really important, and you touched on that subject. And I think a lot of people, if they got down to the foundation, good nutrition and good habits like exercise and sleep, that they would, they'd have to, get rid of a lot of those drugs, and they'd probably feel much better. And so what is your advice about nutrition? What do you try to tell people?
Well, in say one sentence, if people can't afford organic food because it can tend to be more expensive, if they can at least go for food that you'd say you could recognize it if it was on you'd recognize it on the plant, you know. So in other words, it's a whole food. So for people to have generous amounts of whole grains, fresh vegetables,
potatoes, and rice.
That'd be fine. Yes, plenty of rice. Get their beans, get fresh fruits, plenty of water. It's pretty much the same stuff you've heard since you were little.
All the time.
And just these days, though, we know we should probably cut back on the animal fats and things like that, because
people generally eat a lot of processed foods and a lot of high-fat foods. And I know one thing that I learned. I used to really cut out the fat in my diet and kind of got obsessed about it, and probably at the same time, though, I was hurting myself in a way because I wasn't getting the natural oils. You've kind of educated me on that, and so maybe you can tell people just quickly how they can work that into their diet.
Oh, sure. There are certain fatty acids that are called essential fatty acids, and they are essential for the immune system to work and for the cardiovascular system to remain clear.
And for your liver as well.
Well, for the liver, for fertility, for many things. And just to give you the name, one is called flaxseed oil. Also, they come in fish oil and many of the other nuts and seeds.
Yeah,
special oils.
I've been trying to make good salad dressings out of flaxseed oil. I think I came up with one that doesn't taste too bad. So, but I went to hear you speak about hormone balance, and that's when I really got excited about what you were talking about and really opened my eyes to a lot of things I never thought about before. And so maybe you can just tell a lot of women out there, especially, a little bit about hormone balance and what they can do to feel great and feel the best that they can feel.
Sure. Well, once again, if women can eat whole foods and exercise, get rest, and there's a few things about the organs that we can't really go into at this time, but they can actually get the body to balance the hormones out, because as women that are still having periods, the ovaries put out quite a lot of a very powerful form of estrogen that if women don't have good habits, they don't break down well. And if they don't break down, then women get those symptoms of PMS, bloating, headaches, and even depression. So that when
I think I've gotten all those, so I can attest to that.
We probably all have at one time or another. Especially when you party a lot, then you can also
it gets worse instead of better.
That's
you think that drink is going to cure the pain, but no, instead you feel even worse. So and one thing I thought too that was interesting that you talked about was about the hormone therapies that are out there now, and like the pill, for instance, that's like the most unsafe kind of estrogen for your body. It's really hard for it to break it down.
Yes, it has a high, what they call oral absorption rate, and a very low metabolism and slow to excrete. And so this is not for all women at all times, but there has been some research to show that they can increase the risk to breast cancer and other forms of estrogen-related cancer.
If you ever see the little list they give you, it's about 20 feet long, and while most people might say, well, I haven't had any of those symptoms, well, maybe you don't feel as good as you could feel either. Maybe you're getting more headaches, maybe you're getting more PMS symptoms. And guys, are you enjoying this? But what about the other types of replacement therapies?
Sure. Well, since I deal with herbs and other natural remedies too, then I've also experimented with I shouldn't say I've experimented, I've read research and found out that the herbs such as, say, licorice root, and there's other ones, there's one called the chase tree berry, or Vitex agnus cassis is another one.
I've drank quite a few teas that have many of those in them.
They actually help promote the body's own progesterone, and when women make more progesterone, that's nature's way of counteracting that estrogen. But so say women are going through menopause, they want to have some estrogen, so they can use the plant forms of estrogen still and get some relief.
Well, I thank you for all of that, and I know you've helped a lot of people and taken on more natural methods, and I really am intrigued by that and excited to have you on my show, and I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and I hope you can educate a lot more people to help themselves as well.
Thank you. You have a wonderful show, too.
Thank you. Sure. Thanks a lot. Okay. We'll be right back, so stay tuned for more positive living. Becoming Miss Minnesota USA and being named one of the top 12 finalists at Miss USA this year was a dream come true for me. In November, Paige Swenson and I will pass down our titles to the next 2 lucky young women. And so if you'd like us to make an appearance at your event, or you'd like us to give you more information about the pageant, please call toll-free 1-800-688-8413. Hello. Oh, well, enough of that pageant stuff. Let's get to some good stuff. And this is kind of a tribute to summer, since we're saying goodbye to summer. And this was a day that I took my dad out to the lake, and he was really a good sport. This is called Father's Day Follies. So let's watch it. Father's Day. Oh boy, what am I gonna do? It's already this Sunday. What can I get him? Well, maybe a tie. Yeah, ties are good for Father's Day. Yeah, that's what I'll get him, a tie. Maybe something cute though, something fun, like, I don't know, maybe with Betty Boop on it. Yeah, that'd be cute. Well, no, I can't see my dad wearing a Betty Boop tie. Forget it. How about, boxers? Yeah, that'd be fun. Maybe some silky boxers, something with some style to it. Yeah, that'd be great. Except for, I've never even seen my dad wear boxers. I think he's more of a brief man. Okay, well, too bad they're so nice and soft. Well, could always get him Old Spice. Dads like Old Spice, don't they? Yeah, it's kind of a dad cologne. I think I smelled it once and I don't think it smelled very good actually. Nah, he wouldn't like that. All those things are so boring. They're the same old things everyone gives their dad. I want to give my dad something really exciting, something he'd really like. Father's Day that he'd remember forever. What could I get him? Well, what about that time? Remember he said he liked rollerblades? Yeah, rollerblades. Rollerblades. So, Dad, what do you want for your birthday?
Well, I know you're going to think this is just a little silly, but every night when we go for walks with the dogs, I notice people on rollerblades, and it sure looks like a lot of fun. I think I'd like to have a pair.
Rollerblades?
I used to ice skate when I was young, and that kind of looks like fun.
Well, I think you should try them first before we get them for you for your birthday.
Well, that's a good idea.
Okay. Hey, Dad. How are ya? Good. Listen, this this Sunday is Father's Day. Yeah, so I was thinking, just be ready at noon. I have a surprise. And wear your tennies and your shorts. We're gonna go out to the lake. Yeah, I think you'll like it. Okay. All right, I'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.
I'm ready. I just have one question.
Sure.
How do you stop?
Oh, that's not easy. That thing down there, that's your stopper. You have to kind of lift up your foot. Yeah. So don't go too fast because it's really hard to stop.
What if you're going backwards?
Don't go backwards. Not on the first day.
Okay, I trust you.
Okay.
My turn.
Okay. Well, what do you think?
Let's go get an ice cream.
Ice cream? No, Dad. Come on, Dad.
You're doing good, Dad. We already made it one time.
God damn, wasn't that great? I mean, we got outside, we enjoyed nature, we got a little exercise too, and we should just do this every weekend, don't you think? What's wrong? You're not even drinking carrot juice. I hope you're having a good time there, because I'm having the best Father's Day ever. Well, Dad, I hope you had a fun Father's Day. I sure did. It was great. I love you. I'll see ya.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, bye. I'll see you next week.
Oh man, how come I can't have a normal daughter that just gives me a Thai or Old Spice for Father's Day?
Oh, my poor dad. Anyway, he was a great sport and we had a really fun Father's Day. But I just want to thank you for being with me for Positive Living, and I hope you learned something new, and I hope you'll be back to watch me again soon. And take care. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Stretch it. Oh, yeah, we're on live TV. This is great. I feel like David Letterman. Okay, well, remember, mind, body, and spirit. And next time I'll introduce you to some more interesting people. So bye for now from Positive Living.
The whole dog interview is really good though. That can be inserted parts of it.
Yeah, we'll look at it. Oh, just relax. He doesn't care. I mean, she doesn't care that we're trying to tape this.
No,
it's time for belly scratching. Scratch my belly. Look at that. What are you doing? What are you doing down there? Aren't you going to come up and say hello? Okay.